Hey, everybody, and welcome to Ukraine Update here on the Shills, where Greg Terry is so dialed in, he's got our globe logo behind him.
Brother, I'm in solidarity with the Shills. I just wanted to show that my favorite color is green, but I wanted to show the world that I am a Shills supporter.
Love it, buddy. Love
You're
it.
welcome, my
It's
friend.
awesome.
You're shilling for the Shills.
Yeah, I am shilling for the Shills.
There's layers of shill going on here. We're going to have to be careful.
I put my boots on.
Shillception.
Let me scoot our background into night. I forgot to do that before we went live. Let's introduce everybody. It's not like everybody watching won't know who we all are, but of course we got Greg Terry in. How's it going, Greg?
Going very well, and I see Galina in the chat, so I want to definitely say hello to Galina. Добро пожаловать, Галина. Я очень рад тебя видеть и вас люблю сильно. Больше, чем слов.
I couldn't have said it better, and I mean that. Like, I really couldn't have.
I actually told her to completely disregard the logo behind me. I am not a Shield supporter. I'm a Ukraine supporter, and I asked her to forgive me. No, I told her I loved her very much, and more than words could say.
I understood the love part in your sentence. That one I caught.
Awesome. Man, we got Secular Sakai in again today. How's it going? You're back in action. What's happening?
It's pretty good. Glad to be back. Been 2 or 3 weeks, and I have been busy and traveling, and it's good to be back.
Cool. Awesome. Stories to come, maybe then. We got Yana in, and great news. Project Constantine monetized. Hooray.
Yay! Super excited for that. I'm working on a video, and it's now currently at the point where Helena's like, we should post this on Twitter. I'm like, it's being directed to YouTube so that we can make money off of this thing.
Damn right. Priorities, man. Love it. Love it. Awesome. And Slavy, you're chasing the tail of monetization too. You must be getting close now. It's hours for you, isn't it? That you're chasing now?
I think I need 50 more subscribers and a couple of thousand of hours, but I'll get there.
Yeah. So we got to get everybody over. You know, when you go to sleep tonight, head over to Slavy's channel and just play the videos and let them run, you know, and let's get some hours up because it sure makes a difference, you know, absolutely. And we got we got Commander McMillan in, the bionic man himself. How's the healing going, or are you still just clinging on to painkillers because they're fun?
Nope, I'm off the painkillers now.
Yeah.
And hobbling around with a cane looking like I'm about 90. Old man with a cane.
That's funny. Yeah. Do you get to do that thing where you point at people with the cane when you're pissed off?
Oh, yeah, I could do that. The thing I find was great about it is I don't have to reach for like turning off the lights when I leave a room. I have the cane. I can just kind of
embrace the lazy.
That's right.
Yeah. So, we barely even talked pre-show on where we were going to start and what we were going to do. We know we've got some not great news to cover. We've got some okay news to cover. There's kind of stuff all over the place. So, anybody want to take the reins and start us off here? I'm not even sure.
I'll start with the bad news and then we can go up from there.
Good call.
So this week, the 67th lost 4 guys. 2 of them 3 days ago and another 2 yesterday. So that is just, I think the thing is like, it just, with everything going on, and both of you are on Twitter will know there's a lot of things going on Twitter at the moment. It's just that kind of that awakening, that realization or that reminder that there are people dying. And, you know, everyone on here knew Pete. And I want you guys to kind of remember that that pain you felt when you heard Pete was killed, there are families and friends and everything feeling that every single day throughout Ukraine.
And every single day, there's new families facing it.
Yeah.
Well, the reality is, I'm going to be putting out a video hopefully later tonight. I have this stream here with the Shills, and then I got something I have to take care of. So there are 5 tough places on the front line. So I just want to do like a 10-minute standalone and zoom in on the 5 locations. I don't want to do an entire front line. I kind of promised that on the live stream last night. And the reality is, even Kursk, we're having some successes and we're having some struggles. And then we come down to what I call the Kupiansk-Borova, and where we support and we work. Additionally, down towards Toretsk. And then we come below Mirnograd and Pokrovsk. They're getting closer. And the bottom line is, the closer that you get, the more FPV drones are in the air. It doesn't change. They've been close enough to mercilessly drop artillery on Pokrovsk and Mirnograd, but the closer you get, the more effective FPV drones can be. And that's for both sides. So Ukraine can be more effective with their FPV drones, but the reality is they're crawling there. And then we come down to the southern line, and Zaporizhia is it's becoming Kharkiv number 2, and Kharkiv number 1 is becoming Kherson. It's where we're at. And finally in Kherson, I won't focus on that on the video tonight, but Kherson, probably the most dangerous city in Ukraine right now. Not even close. Not even close. I know about missiles. I know about artillery. I know about glide bombs. Unfortunately, Russia is choosing now to drop FPV controlled grenades on civilians, and it's not a random act now. You can let it go. I hate to say it this way, but you can let it go as a random act and say, oh, maybe it was dropped and shouldn't have been. But now it's literally happening nonstop. It is an extremely dangerous place to pick your head out of a doorway, in a car, at a kiosk, and very few of those are left open. So Kherson, extremely dangerous right now. More so than ever. More so than ever.
Russians are being incentivized by money to hit civilian in a car, and the more it goes, it's
literal scores for what you hit. And it's literally these guys hunt around for military. When they don't see any military and they see the drone's battery is about to die, they crash a civilian car and crash civilians.
They treat it like a video game.
They do.
Completely dehumanize it.
Yeah. It's horrific. I mean, and Halia goes there, I think, once a month, if I'm not mistaken. She goes there once a month. And luckily she came back safe, but I was scared the whole time she was there. And then when she came back, I think it was the next day or the day after that, she told me that the friend she goes, her chaplain friend who's there, his guys, they were hit by an FPV drone like that, but they survived. But it kind of just makes you realize how bad that situation is.
Yeah.
The bottom line is you just can't go in and out of Kherson now without realizing you're extremely there's an extreme risk to your life. Jane and I go out in and out of there all the time. We go out completely blacked out with night vision and all of our sugar cubes and do everything to protect ourselves. But it's crazy dangerous. Crazy dangerous.
I'm wondering, is there something like an anti-drone system that can be installed that something magnetic that can make the drones kind of disable the drones?
There are.
How much will it cost, Greg?
It's not about the cost. It's not about the cost. So when I share the truth here, some people don't like it, but the bottom line is civilians shouldn't be walking around Kherson. That's the bottom line. It is a siege city, and unfortunately, we do not. And when I say we, that means Ukraine and the world population. We do not have the capabilities, nor the resources, nor even the equipment to try to create that blanket of protection for, I'm sorry, 5,000 civilians that are walking around Kherson and shouldn't be there. They should be physically, sorry to tell you guys straight, they should be physically evacuated, period. And we have frontline soldiers right now that have no drone protection, an overwhelming majority. So we cannot, sorry, trying to figure out how to drone protect 5,000 civilians in Kherson. And why do I say 5,000? Because I'm in Kherson all the time, and I think that's the max population. I don't care what any graphic says. 5,000 max. 10 on the outside. 5, I'm more comfortable with that number. It's a ghost town. So we need to make sure our soldiers who are fighting to liberate our land, to defend our territory, that they're provisioned, and we need to do a better job of communicating to civilians. We need to back you up, guys. Greg, Kherson is a fishbowl. You have to understand that geographically. It at the city entrance to Kherson, and it doesn't matter if you come in from Mykolaiv or you come in along the river Dnipro and you come in through Antonivka, where the Antonivka Bridge is. It's very famous for early the war. You come in through Novokakhovka down from Nikopol. Either way you come into Kherson, you're at the top elevation there. And Kherson is built on a complete slant all the way down to the river. So when I say you're in a fishbowl, you're in a fishbowl. There's very little protection. It's too dangerous for civilians to be there. Let's just leave it at that.
That's a kill zone location where you're the fish in the barrel, right? Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, Greg, with what you said about the guys on the front needing supplies. I mean, Halian, one of our volunteers, were with the 67th last weekend, and I mean, you've spoken about this before, is the shortage in personnel in the military at the moment, and our guys are trying to make up for that by using FPVs. The problem is, the commander told our volunteer, we basically need 100 FPVs a day.
Yeah.
To be able to match, to not even like properly counter, just to stay up with us, you know. And in lack thereof, we've got guys in the guys in the trenches, the infantry guys. But that's the reality. That's the scale of what we need, is 100 FPVs a day.
I'll bounce off the fact that you shared, Yana. You shared as the opening news tonight on the Shills. Guys, we lost some of our 67th guys this week.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what you shared, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's make it really clear for people. The 67th was already decimated.
Yeah.
We've lost a lot of guys over the last 3 months. A lot of guys. And now, you know, Yana pops on here tonight, and rightfully so, communicating, guys, remember these families, remember these people. You know, this was Pete's unit. And Loza, you've seen the videos on my channel. We're delivering the armored vehicles there. These are the guys we're losing. And it's a challenge. It's a challenge when you're undermanned and undersupplied.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've got a couple intros to do here. So Nick Sooner joined in there as we were chatting. Nick, how's it going, buddy?
Going good. How about yourself?
Good. And because the chat was just on his line of thoughts and had to jump in, we're blessed to have Phil Idner in as well. How you doing, Phil? Oh, wait a minute.
I'm good.
Okay.
Can you hear me? Hello?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you can't hear me. Good. Sorry.
Perfectly.
I'm well. I just wanted to jump in because the topic of Kherson is absolutely one we need to be paying much more attention to. I spoke with, I think we all have to admit, the person who owns this story more than anybody else is Zarina Zabriskie, who is down in Kherson working for Byline Time. I've known Zarina for 25 years, and she clued me into it, and we did an episode of On the Edge about it. So I have a little bit of foreknowledge about this, and I've been to Kherson, not as much as you, Greg, but but certainly I was there. And when I was there, the drone situation hadn't started, but we were still told, don't go down to the embankment, because this was a period right after the flooding, and the floodwaters had receded, and people were working on their homes trying to recover as much as they could from the water damage. And so we went and we spoke to them about that, and about having gone through the flood and all the rest of it. But we were warned by our advisors there, don't go down to the river because they'll shoot at you. They don't care. They'll shoot at you. So this is the mentality that has always existed when they went onto the other side of the river, that they don't care about civilians. They don't care. It's target practice. And there is increasing speculation. And again, we don't know this because we're not inside the head of these drone operators. And there's even some indication that it may even be AI at this point, that they are using civilians to hone their drone skills, which to me is so deeply cynical.
Oh,
like I'm going to learn how to kill people by the human safari, which is now kind of the coined term for what's happening here, Son. So that eventually, when that when I do attack Ukrainian forces, I mean, it's the sickness.
that's inhuman.
And we have reports. We have reports of things like one drone hitting a window to blast it open, so that a second drone can fly through into somebody's apartment and kill them. Civilians again, but it's honing a technique that they're after, and they don't care if they hit civilians. They don't care of anything. I mean, what's happening here. And look, guys, here's the other thing, and the reason why, Greg, to a certain extent, I do agree with you. Get the civilians out. Maybe it is, and I also agree with you. It's damn near a ghost town. But here's the thing: in 4 weeks' time, 4 weeks' time, 5 weeks' time, maybe less, but that ballpark. The foliage is going to be gone. It's going to be fall. There's going to be there'll be no leaves on the trees. The citizens of Kherson run from tree to tree to tree because of the air cover that it gives them. It obscures them from sight from above. So their entire lives are running from tree to tree to tree. What happens when the leaves are gone?
Squirrel.
Yeah, it's some sick stuff. It's some deeply sick stuff. So I wanted to pop in and chime in about that, because we have a serious issue that we need to advance knowledge of this, because when those leaves are gone, we are looking at an entire city that is going to be under hostage.
Yeah.
They will. It's disgusting.
To add to that, to add to that, Loza, who you guys know, like Pete's commander, he gave, when Halina was in the East last weekend, he gave Halina one of his vests, one of his body armor vests. He's like, you go to Kherson every month, you take this. Reminder, Loza's on the front. He's on the front in the Liman direction, okay? He gave Halina his body armor and said, you need this more than I do. Wow. That's how bad Kherson is.
The international community. I mean, we keep saying this. I know it's a broken record, but the situation in Kherson is, if we don't get ahead of this thing before those leaves are off the trees, we're going to have an absolute human. I mean, not that we haven't, but this is going to be a very, very serious issue for those people, and we can do stuff about it. We could provide them with electronic countermeasures. We could provide them with air defense. Greg, I get your point about why use those assets in a city when maybe they're better deployed onto the front lines. I get that mentality, but I also, having, and you've been in Kherson, you've been around, all the frontline areas. Not everybody's going to leave Kherson. That's just there. Even if they're ordered to leave, they're just some stubborn people who just will never leave.
We just had
home.
2 hurricanes in America that prove without a shadow of a doubt that you can
Valid
tell
point.
somebody to leave and they will decide for themselves whether they are going to.
Yeah. Because it's a pain in the backside. You're leaving your home. You don't know if you're ever going to come back. It's the only home you've ever known in your life. You're afraid of maybe thieves. I mean, there are a million and one reasons why they justify. But then, as you rightfully point out, even with a hurricane, which is kind of like a binary thing, the hurricane is coming. It is going to happen. People will still say, I'll believe it when I see it, or I'll make that decision when it comes to a crisis point. And then oftentimes it's too late.
The other problem is that the civilians. I empathize with every one of those reasons, and I think they're actually all very good reasons.
So do I.
But the problem is, if it was just your life, then you do what you want. But the problem is, when soldiers have to come into an area and they have to worry about maybe accidentally shooting a civilian, they have to worry about, is my grenade going to collateral damage? When they have to decide whether they're going to do their job or try to protect a civilian, that's a decision you are forcing onto other people now who really, if they've been told to look, ignore the civilians, go on the offensive, do what you're supposed to do. None of these soldiers is going to want to have to make a choice. Do I ignore a civilian who now needs my help? So you are actually endangering soldiers. You're endangering other people who are going to have to come to try to rescue you, because even if they're put in that position, that's what good people do, and Ukraine's got a lot of good people. So
I'll just make 2 more quick points because I'm crashing the party and I know it.
No worries.
So I'll just make 2 quick points and then I'll hop off. One, I'll tell you a quick little anecdote from my time in Iraq, when I was a reporter in Iraq. I was the pool reporter for the Louisiana National Guard, which was pulled out of patrolling Baghdad International Airport road, which was called Route Irish, into Baghdad International Airport. This was Louisiana National Guard. When Katrina happened, they were pulled back by the governor. They were pulled back like 2 weeks early. I traveled with them all the way from Baghdad to Texas, and then we drove into Louisiana. Louisiana governor met us at the border at an airfield and said to the unit commander, "We want to deploy you in downtown New Orleans." And the commander said, "With all due respect, ma'am, there's no way. I'm not doing that."
Right.
My boys have been on Baghdad International Airport Road for the last 11 months. They are kill ready. They are set and ready to go.
Right.
They will end up killing civilians because their senses, their instincts, muscle memory, they are in a war fighting mode. So no, ma'am, I'm happy to put them at a food distribution point. I'm happy to put them at making sandbags or whatever else is needed to do, but I'm not going to put them in New Orleans to keep the peace, because that's not where their heads are at. And I think that's worth considering in Kherson as well. So that's anecdotal. That's anecdotal, but I think it's worth mentioning.
Let me. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well,
no, I was just going to shamelessly plug my next episode.
But don't bail after. Stick around for the rest of the show.
I'll stick around for a while longer. But I see your maple leaf in the back. Guess who I've got on this week?
Who?
I've got your senator from Nova Scotia.
Oh, cool.
Stan Kuchar.
Cool.
And we discussed the Toronto International Film Festival kerfuffle.
Oh, yeah.
And he's a first generation Ukrainian.
Yeah.
So we talked about the legacy of Ukrainians in Canada, which goes back far longer than what we think. It goes back to the end of the 19th century. The Ukrainians start. Anytime Moscow got into a situation where its grip was a little bit loosened,
Yeah.
Ukrainians went fleeing to Canada as quickly as they could. So
We-
there's a 1.5 million.
Yeah, we have
Absolutely.
this is a perfect tie-in to shout-outs because just down the road from me is a bakery and deli that's owned by a Ukrainian family and a Portuguese family, right? And they run this beautiful place full of the best stuff you could ever. I went there today because they text me and they say, "Oh, we got fresh pierogies just coming, they're all done." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, baby, I'm coming," right? And they do a fundraiser where they're always sending drones over, and then they do humanitarian relief as well and whatnot. And they're $314 from closing their latest fundraiser. So I figured today's direct donations that come through our Boom Boom Fund, as we call it, will go to them. And I get to say right now, Carl Gustav, $50 direct donation into the Boom Boom Fund. So we can call that down to about 250, and this is all Canadian dollars we're talking about, so it ties in really well. So maybe we can get their little fundraiser done and get them onto the next one by the end of the show. That'd be really cool. A couple other fundraisers to shout out. Carl Gustav, again, huge thanks. $50 donation. Definitely gets a couple of soundbite buttons. Mr. Nobody gifted out 10 memberships. Thank you, Mr. Nobody. Petra Olsen comes in with her, see, I'm not smoking, donation with love to Ukraine, 129 Swedish kroners there. And Vostek Fictus? Is that am I even close at all? Gifting out 5 memberships. There, we always got to jump Mario 5 times for membership gifts. And so thank Votek. I think that might be at least close. And then Skits Crasher, Shills. Love it. Okay, I think we're caught up. I'm getting a real background noise somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Dick,
That might
while
be
you're
mine.
working on
That
that,
might be
while you're
mine.
working on that, so in general, I would think the panel has a consensus agreement that Kherson's difficult and we need to protect civilians and deal with them somehow.
Yes.
How to do that may be in question, but I just don't see it getting any easier for those guys there in Kherson anytime soon. Additionally, I'm seeing a lot in the chat in regard to Reno, Nevada. You're having a Reno, Nevada party in your chat, Dickie. And so I will be in Reno, Nevada speaking in early December. So if you guys are in here and near Reno, come see me.
Well, Annette is moving.
I know, but there's others like some. I think the last name was Burgess in the chat talking about the weather in Reno. So if you're in that area, come see me. We'll say hi.
Awesome. That's really cool indeed. I'm just doing a thing in the background here.
A quick question about Russians at war, since Phil just had an episode about it. So Trofimova is now getting, Ukraine is looking into her, and most likely she'll be pronounced as a war criminal because that's what she is. Once that happens, does that mean the Canadian government will need to look into her as well?
What's the name again?
I have to say yes.
If she's pronounced as a war criminal, then Canada, because she has a Russian passport and a Canadian passport, will need to look into her as well, because she got the funding from the Canadian government to do the film.
I don't think they'd be required to. I assume they would. All they're required to do would be to extradite if she was if she was physically in Canada. That she's a citizen actually probably entitles her to some protection, but in as much as legal, some form of insisting that there's a legal defense and yada yada yada. But all they're required to do, I would imagine, would be to extradite. She's not in Canada. Because
the way she's acting in interviews, she's doubling down which means she thinks she's untouchable completely. Sorry to say this. What a fucking cunt.
What a Russian.
No sorry needed on that one.
There goes your monetization.
Oh, this channel is numero uno on who gives a rat's ass for monetization. When you go in and look at our live shows, man, it's yellow demonetized. I mean, it happens so often.
I wonder if it's got anything to do with your first name.
Well, like as we've talked about, I had to change it to Mr. Dawson on my personal account because I was actually getting to the point where people that had YouTube moderation turned up to the higher levels for their live chats.
Greg.
I was getting blocked. I couldn't even chat because of my name.
That happened to Titan too, for obvious reasons.
Yeah, but mine is short for Richard. Titans is an
Yeah, we've been demonetized enough for one day. We don't need to get into my head mods. Yeah,
head mod is probably appropriate at that point.
Greg, I see you have your hand raised.
Greg, you need a white flag. You need it on a stick.
It was me, and this is when Dick and I first started becoming friends, and we had partnered up a little bit. And then, to be quite honest with you guys, I consider everybody in this panel friends, and I actually talked about that last night on the live stream about these communities are friends and we're family. Yes. And it's very important. I'd played a video of Johnny and Pierre and just trying to show the coalition and solidarity. We can't talk about it. We've got to demonstrate it. And the goal is to bring people together and focus on what's unites us versus what divides us. And so Dick and I became friends, and we started talking about technical things and calling back and forth and all of this. My wife would be listening in the background. She goes, "Who's that?" I said, "That's Dickie Dawson." "Oh, he's the F-bomber." "He's the F-bomber." I said, "Yeah, he's the F-bomber." And then, then the next thing, Dick started showing up in my chat quite regularly, and he would type something and he would be banned. And finally he says, "I'm changing my name, don't worry." So it became Mr. Dawson.
Yeah, it's hilarious, man.
Hey, James, why Ukraine? What's up, brother?
Hey,
nice to see you, stud.
Good to see you, James. No worries. How's things? How you doing? What are you up to? Oh shit!
I know that Greg has this problem. Trying to balance. They talk about work-life balance. Well, we have a volunteer / YouTube balance. You know what I mean? When you're out there doing stuff, and Greg, I don't know how you do it half the time. Like, you're out there on the road delivering shit, driving all day, and then you're like streaming from God knows where at night.
Well,
I mean, I've tried. It's tough, man.
Professor Gertis did nickname me Dr. Energy.
Yeah.
And to be quite honest, I do have to give the shout out to our team. So when we're rolling, it was last night on the live stream. If you guys didn't see it, go halfway through it and you'll see a little bit of video where I'm talking to Wasp, one of the key soldiers that we partner with down on the southern front somewhere. And he's a Cossack. He is an incredible. He's a stud. He's so Pete-like in his personality, and it just, and he knew Pete. Wasp knew Pete, and it's the bottom line is I have a really good team, James, and when we're rolling, Johnny Pierce calls it the battle bus for a reason. So we're basically running about 3 layers of bonded internet. And if need be, our Starlink mounts on the top of our vehicle. I have a full computer set up in my seat, and I'll spell Jane if he needs a break driving. And we are doing edits and interviews and talking and streaming right from our battle bus. But we invested a lot into it to set it up for that, because if you didn't have that, brother, it's impossible.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, I kind of want to move in.
Oh, well, there's room in the back seat. Come on, you can sit in Johnny's seat.
But
I
that
don't know if
sounds
there's room
romantic.
for all of Nick's graphics, because Nick looks like he needs his own bus to run all those graphics.
Well, that back seat is incredible. And listen, it's very protected with our jammers and cubes and all of that stuff. And we are fully weaponized and ready for anything. We go close to a lot of DRG activity. And Johnny and Pierre nicknamed it the battle bus. And then one of the next loops, we had Rick the Ukrainian and Andrew Mercado in the back. So now I just need Nick and Phil, and we'll roll, man. That would be a crew.
Greg, how much do your sugar cubes cost to make?
They range in price because we manufacture them. Our team does. They modify what comes to make them even better. Basically about $150 a pop for a really good one.
Wait.
You can get them 80, 90, $100, but you'll be killed with those. About $150. They are really good.
Yeah.
Sugar cubes?
Yes, sugar cubes.
Drone warning, early drone detection warning stuff.
We clip it right on us, James.
Yeah, it's like small. It's like this big.
Very cool.
It's nicknamed Sugar Cube, and we just clip it right on us.
I'm glad that you asked, James, because I was going to ask as well.
Come on, guys. Don't you watch Greg's streams? You would have known this.
You would have known.
Hey,
I've heard the reference on your stream. It's just when I'm listening to your streams, I'm usually in the middle of doing like 3 other things, so I miss shit. And I've heard I've heard it before, and I was like, well, I knew it was some kind of an anti-drone thing, but I thought it was. I had this picture in my mind because usually you're in my pocket when I'm listening, so I don't see.
Oh, that's so cute.
Don't even start, Dick Dawson. I know where you're going. Don't even start it.
I had this picture of like a suitcase size thing.
No, this is actually
on you is pretty badass.
Let me explain it to you.
It's like a pager.
It's the size of a pager or a business card, depending on the different model. We have a little clip. Lethal. We clip it right on us. And then depending on how our guys, our nerds have modified them, as soon as it goes off, we just take a peek at it. We know if it's Ukrainian drones. We know if it's Russian drones.
Wow.
We communicate with the soldiers in the certain geographical location we're at. So let's say we're pushing up Kupiansk area. We're talking to the soldiers there, and they will tell us, okay, watch out for these 4 or 5 bands, these frequencies. And those frequencies will be completely different than, for example, Karakova. And we're going there. They'll say, okay, no, not here. That's up there. Down here, watch these 5. If you see these 5, it's an Orlan, it's whatever it may be. And they go through them. And then, of course, on the Ukrainian side, we know the frequencies. Because, guys, they're changing them nonstop.
That's right.
Changing them nonstop. So we try to stay on top of that as well. And once again, that comes down to relationships. So, James, I encourage you. I know we hooked you up with Himmick. And I encourage you, brother. You're doing an amazing job because you're there, and I'm proud of you. Just keep
interesting
building relationships.
Yeah, that's really it. The lab that I was just working in, they were also focused on building anti-drone drones and anti-drone stuff. Of course, I'm not going to go into details about what exactly, but kind of a piece of the components, of what's necessary. And what's really interesting to me, and I was talking with them, the owner of the lab, and they're kind of quasi-military, you understand. And I think that this new law that is being passed, I don't know if it's been passed, about Ukraine being able to export drones. I mean, I hope that it's going to be carefully regulated, but it opens up a lot of opportunity for organic investment, Silicon Valley type stuff.
I'll give you a little insight right now. And this is all I can say about it. And I know Phil being there and James, you're being there. You guys have heard about it. I know, Commander, with your knowledge, we're entering a phase, and if this war continues, which it will, into 2025, where we will not be talking about frequencies. We will be talking about a different type of detection system that must be developed, because right now, on both sides, Russia and Ukraine, And a major increase on tethered drones is happening through fiber optic, through optic lines, through invisible, like fishing line, guys, literally.
Yeah.
And this is not theory. This is not, this is coming in the future. It's happening right now. And
it's equivalent to a tow missile.
Correct. Yeah. It's exponentially growing. The best way I can describe it for you guys that are watching right now, just imagine a windy day and you go fly a kite. And the kite takes off in the wind. And if you were a redneck like me growing up in the South, you would go down to the fishing store and get the largest spool of fishing line you could get. And your goal was to get the kite into orbit. Okay. Just imagine the kite being able to go out that far. That's what these drones are doing. And we're not being invisible.
We're not being Jewish bashing assholes right now. You're saying kite, right?
Fly a kite on a windy day. Dick.
That one goes above my head. I don't know that slang.
Yeah. Okay.
I
was.
Phil, did I miss something?
But no, we're moving on. We're moving on. No, I was at John Sweeney puts on this yearly festival for Vladimir Putin's birthday. Yeah, the Vladimir Putin do F off. That's for you, Pastor. Festival, and folks show up with various expertise and all the rest of it. And I was speaking with Paul Conroy, I believe, Mary Colvin's photographer, and he says, he had just come from somewhere along the line. And you're right. It is going to change with the whole kind of guided drones. But right now, he was describing vehicles driving around the front because the bandwidth has moved from like 100 different frequencies to literally hundreds and hundreds.
Right.
So he was describing vehicles that are literally looking like porcupines, because they've got different antennae for different signals.
That's
for defense. So
the next logical step for that is to go frequency hopping, because then you really can't interfere with it.
That's correct.
You've got to go to broadband. You're right.
The technology just keeps advancing.
Fortunately, this is hard to say, but for the ones that can do even more damage, such as the Lancets and the Orlands, they run in a specific frequency and they can't bounce those around too much. So when we are down there on the front and the drones are going over and we see them, if it's a Shaheed and it's not on the more silent jet propulsion, small jet propulsion, but it's actually using the older system with the propellers, there's no way you can't identify it. You will hear it over anything if it's really close to you. But when you see the ones up higher in the air, and this is not FPV, this is the big boys.
Yeah.
When Roma's with us, who is our drone specialist, he actually jumps. We pull over. He jumps out of our vehicle. He grabs his computer with this stuff, and I just call it stuff. I'm not trying to hide. It's just electronic equipment. He takes these antennas. He shoots it right at the drone. We can see the drone out there a kilometer. And he shoots it right at the drone, and he goes on his computer, and he will say, it's on this frequency, and that's an Orland. It's on this frequency, that's a Lancet. He goes, listen, we need to go that way, that's a Lancet.
Right.
And that's how quick they can respond to that.
Well, you can develop sound profiles and so on and whatnot. There's a lot of factors that can be used to identify and whatnot. And to tie that all in digitally in a software environment means that I use the term loosely, but sensors like an antenna or listening or whatever, you can package that up pretty small and have yourself a really powerful, badass little remote and go identification station, right?
Yes. Yeah. Mike 71, I'll just answer this question, then I'll pass the baton. But Mike 71 asking a question, can you jam the frequencies? Yes, you can jam them, and we do jam them. And all the ways we supply
strawberry works best.
Our soldiers is we it's like Phil was talking about, it's like Commander was talking about. Our particular drone jammers we use, we run 7-band drone jammers. And so we're focusing on the 7 most used bands in a certain geographical location at a certain time.
It's like designing a radar detector.
It is, dude. And we customize them. So even for ourselves. So let's say it's 3 weeks later, we're coming back by. We're getting the latest information. We're adjusting our frequencies. Or where we have delivered drone jammers, it's what I was explaining last night on the live stream. We didn't just drop these vehicles and forget about them. We will take care of these soldiers and take care of these guys until the very end of the war, which will be victory. So we will be modifying the drone jammers. We will be taking care of everything technically. Our team will go back.
A huge part of this, right?
You have to. We're not going to give them a very expensive drone jammer that we had custom made with 7 frequencies on it and say, good luck.
Yeah.
No. Once they call us back in 2 months ago, okay, 5 of these frequencies are gone. They're now using these. Our guys are going right there and modify them right on the front. Yeah.
Greg,
Well, it's funny. It's funny when I was talking. Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead, Nick.
A quick technical question, Greg. So if you happen to be on, say, a YouTube channel and you want to jam a particular host that is hosting that channel, a smart ass host, do you have the technology to do that? Has that been invented yet?
Different
Asking
channels.
for a friend.
We're talking about different kind of channels here.
Okay.
I will say this. And I'm going to give a really big shout out here. If you go to my website, and I'm not asking people to go to my website, I'm just saying if you do, and you click on the Our Team, I'm going to just give a shout out here. Our team, one of our team members, his name is Volodymyr Zelensky. And it is not the president. It's his real name, Volodymyr Zelensky.
Wow.
And it is. He's there. He's in his mid-30s. He is the smartest human being I have ever met on the face of this planet. I humbly say that. And I promise you, he can take care of Dick Dawson.
Thank you. Thank you. That was all I needed to know. Sorry to interrupt you, Phil, but that was just
that's cool. I'm going to defend our neighbor to the north. Totally self-servingly, because in this interview that I do, which is coming tomorrow, which do watch, with Senator Kucher, who was talking about his involvement with sending Canadian drones to Ukraine. And Ukrainians were like, we appreciate it, but our shit's better.
Yeah. It's
look, these guys are at the forefront. There's a lot of talk. There's a lot of talk about, God forbid Trump gets back into office, he breaks the transatlantic alliance, the Europeans start thinking about their own European defense force. Ukraine will be an asset for that European defense force like none other. It is the best fighting force on the continent, but it's also at the forefront of all modern warfare and emerging technologies.
Yeah.
So these guys, this Canadian senator with whom I spoke, was saying it was kind of, it was a little bit humbling for them to be thinking that they were giving this largesse of Canadian drones, and the Ukrainians were like, thanks, but we got better. We got better. We got better stuff.
Phil, to your point, and then I'll be quiet because you make a point I need to address to complement what you said, and that is this. This week I spent a couple of shows deep diving on Timothy Snyder, and I did one deep dive myself. I did one partnering with Professor Gertis, and we were just deep diving on his recent comments in Kyiv this week. And one of the most powerful things he said was the reason we cannot ignore Ukraine and we must support them to victory. And there was a whole long list, but one of his reasons is exactly what you're saying. Number one, it's the most destroyed place on the planet right now.
Oh,
even much more than Beirut. It's the most destroyed place on the planet. But at the same time, it is the greatest place of innovation. And that is why we must support Ukraine until victory, because out of that destruction is coming the greatest innovation from these Ukrainian heroes. And honest to goodness, I'm not joking, you guys. The dude on my team, Volodymyr Zelensky, is a freaking genius. A genius. He can do anything instantly. Anything. And when you get into the technical world, I wouldn't want to go against him. I promise you.
I want to know this person.
Oh no, I'm saving him in my back pocket just in case.
Hell, you are. You're
There's
sure not.
there's a Ukrainian priest here in Los Angeles. His name is Vladimir Zelensky as well.
Yeah, it's
That's funny.
during that.
Oh, Yulia, I never
during
knew
that
you were
era-
in Los Angeles, Yulia. I'm coming.
Man.
Hold on. I'm gonna hold on. I'm coming. I'm gonna be there. No. I'll be there. I'll be in LA in about 3 weeks. I'm coming back to the States to cast my ballot, and then I'm gonna go to a rally, basically.
And you're going to interview
last minute
Slavi
kind of
while
like
you're
it-
there, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I meant Slavi. I'm so sorry. No, I meant Slavi. I reversed your names. I apologize.
Oh no, you
but
didn't.
Slavi,
Well, if you did, I didn't hear that.
He did. Yeah. But
Oh.
we knew what he meant. Anyway.
I'm gonna be in LA. We should
Nice.
come. I think there's a
You're-
Hinkali place. I
you're
don't know
not
if there's a
going-
Ukrainian place.
Are
but-
you going to Trumpcella?
No, God, no. What are you crazy? No, I'm gonna go to a show with a bunch of kind of lefty kind of comedic activists and stuff called the Sexy Liberal Show.
I have a news alert here. I think Phil is asking Slavi to go to the comedy show.
Sounds like a date to me.
I'd like to go.
Slavi out. I think you're watching it,
But
guys.
I'm going for a very specific, selfish reason, and that is Mark Hamill's going to be there.
Oh, good.
After
He's
2
pitching hard for
years,
this.
after
He's pitching
2
hard.
years of listening to Luke Skywalker warn
That's what I
me
mean.
about incoming.
May
I
the force
want-
be with you.
Yeah. What's the one he says? Air raid alert. Seek shelter. Your
weakness, your overconfidence is your weakness.
Yeah.
Your overconfidence is your weakness, and then he
Oh,
says at the
I'm
end,
so sick
and I'm
of
like,
hearing that
"Shut
shit."
up, Luke! Shut up, Mark Hamill! Shut up! So he owes me. So he
Anybody-
owes me, and he's going to be at this
can
thing.
get that app, by the way. If you guys really
Oh, no,
want to
sure.
experience, anybody
don't.
can get
You
the
don't.
app. Mark Hamill will speak to you, but at least get the experience of what Ukrainians have to live through every day. I personally have it set on Kharkiv because that's my hometown, Odessa and Kiev, and in another space that we have a house in, but I'm not going to say it on live. But
Does it ever stop ringing?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
If you've
No,
got all
like-
those cities,
Not
it must
if
never
you-
stop
I don't
ringing.
know, you know. when
I'm figuring that Luke Skywalker owes me a shameless plug for On the Edge. So I'm going to go to this thing. I'm going to go to this thing, and I'm going to say, "You've been annoying me for 2 years.
Yeah, he's going to
You
grab
owe
him
me
by
a-
the scruff of the neck. Listen, punk.
Listen, you what is it? You nerf herder. You scruffy nerf herder.
I'm gonna tell you a little story about how I learned. I love Mark Hamill. He's doing great work for Ukraine, but I hate listening to his voice because when I was in the international.
I'm going to retitle the stream with the Hate Mark Hamill Club.
That's
when,
not
when I
sure
was
way to
in,
get
when I was
views.
in the International Legion, every time there was an air raid alert that came to our region where our training center was, didn't matter if it was 4 o'clock in the morning, we all had to get up and run outside to about to our shelter place about a kilometer away.
Right.
You have no idea how awful it is to be woken up at 3:30 in the morning and you feel like you've just gotten to sleep and you just ran like 12 miles the freaking day before and it's like attention, your overconfidence is your weakness. Shut up.
Yeah, I know. I'll always be your Padawan, Luke, but shut the hell up.
Yeah.
So I figure he owes me one. I figure I literally am going to go to this thing and be like, you give me a commercial for On the Edge. You owe me.
So when will you be in LA?
I will be in LA in the run up to the 2nd.
Okay, I'll be in
the
LA.
The event is on the 2nd.
I'll
Have
be in
you-
LA November 26, 27, 28 speaking.
Oh no,
Downtown,
I'll
so- Right.
miss you. No. I go, I vote, and then I go to the West Coast.
Have you practiced what you're going to say to Mark Hamill yet?
Yeah, literally what I just said. You owe me a damn commercial, Luke. No, I'm going to be we have a third party who's going to be introducing me, so I won't be that obnoxious.
What I want to know is everybody wants to go out to LA. I live near Boston. It is easier to get people to go to Ukraine than it is to get people to go to Boston in December. And I want to know why.
In December?
Left out.
You have to ask in December? I love
you go to Ukraine, but you won't go to Boston in December.
I don't want to be in Ukraine in December.
Yeah, fair enough.
I want to be in Miami in December.
You sound like my
Yes,
wife.
now we can hear you.
We can hear you now. Okay.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, you sound like my wife, Phil.
Okay.
No, I mean, I like cold weather, but not like that.
Oh, Phil, real fast. Whenever you are in LA, whenever you're in LA, if you and Slavi get a chance, if it lines up, I know that the Ukrainian Cultural Forces, which is like a band, an orchestra basically, that's touring the United States from east to west coast. They're going to be there sometime late October to early or mid-November. So you might check that out. Maybe that'd be something. Cool. That'd be something.
Yeah,
yeah.
I'd be down because I'm going to try and keep the shows coming out. And we've been struggling to get guests on, and that I had hoped to kind of bank so that while I was over there, because I really do feel strongly about casting my ballot this year in person. I'm registered
in California.
No, I'm registered in Michigan.
Go vote.
Yeah, no, I'm registered in and I'm like literally right on the border between like the Southern auto worker, pro-union, that kind of part of Michigan, and the backwood militia guys who are up headed towards the UP. So that's my district in Michigan. Right. So I want to go and I want to cast my ballot so that it's counted on the day. So I have to be there in about a week's time.
Right.
So I'll go and do that, and then I'm going to hop on a plane and go west. Unless I go to New York.
Observations.
Speaking of Trumpchella, sorry, go ahead.
Well,
sexy liberal.
Let me jump in here, guys, with a couple of super chat shout outs and donation shout outs and stuff, because I don't want them to simmer too long, right? So UTV and Ham in the chat there for the what we're calling hashtag pierogi fund. That will be when we're doing the one for the local guys at the bakery and deli there, right? Awesome call, Bobby, which I'll get to that shout out. That was $65 direct donation into the fund. So that puts us at like $105 already. And then we come down and Lynn's definition has sent in 25 as well. So that puts us up, maybe $130, some stuff or whatever. And then I've got Darren Vaughn with a super chat in as well. Love Greg, but Slavi's the hottest. We got another one in here. It's one of those Ko-Fi thing. Let's see here. How do I get it to come up? Oh, there we go. Oh, White Fishy one in the chat, dropping one in, supporting the hashtag pierogi fund. But for some reason, it doesn't tell me how much White Fishy put in. Oh, it was 20 US. Awesome. So that's about $7 billion Canadian. Thanks, White Fishy. They're not exactly rubles up here, but it's getting close, damn it. Okay. I think we're caught up. So that'd be I have to do the math after. I won't do it right now because I can't even quite remember. But thanks, everybody. We're actually getting there. We might be able to close out the hashtag pierogi fund here on the show, actually. which would be awesome. So here, hearts for everybody. Woo! Thank you, everybody. Awesome.
I want to do the lazy Asian heart.
So two quick observations
It's like
for Phil.
this, yeah.
Yeah.
First is there's a thing called mail-in voting. Look it up. Second of all, I have a hard time believing
it's by principle. By principle.
I have a hard time believing that you are having a hard time getting guests because you haven't called. I haven't. I
am on my halfway out the door. No, don't take it personally. Come on.
No. Phil got a hold of me and he said, "Hey, I was thinking about inviting Nick," and I was like, "Nah, don't bother."
No, I did get it, Nick. But two things. One, halfway out the door. Two, you gave me a download of information. So it's on. I
apologize. That was rather verbose. Yes, I was going to follow up with. Well, look, I'm not blocked. I'm surprised.
No. It's all good. It's all good, and I feel slightly bad about it. I'm not.
I was going to follow. Listen,
I'm not going to overstate it. I'm not losing sleep.
Yeah,
but
wait a minute. You're not losing sleep over?
I'm not losing sleep over it. I'm sorry.
So I'm.
But I do intend to respond. I do promise.
Okay. Listen.
And Greg, I don't know if we've lost Greg, but I got.
He's on a call with his wife.
Yeah, Greg's back in a minute.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
It was good to have the opportunity to.
I
just wanted to.
No, fair enough. No, it's just I've just been trying to get my the pastor's on. I'm trying to get my shit together so I can get home. I've got like a huge list of stuff I got to get done before I leave. This is the first time I've left in a year.
Yeah,
I haven't left Ukraine in nearly a year.
Yeah,
so I got a lot of spinning plates. So, but I promise you, I haven't forgotten.
Let me jump in and flip the script here for a second, because we had a question for the commander, and I do believe that a few of you all are going to want to sound off on this as well. So, there's been 3 attacks against commercial ships recently. Is the problem being addressed in any political circles or any circles as it pertains to like maybe UN folk and whatnot?
My guess is probably not. And it's because when you have a conflict break out like this, a thing called the Notice to Mariners is released. It's an international warning, and it could be, because there's a storm or something, but the Notice to Mariners says, avoid this area because of X danger.
Okay.
At that point, if that Notice to Mariners has been issued, then any ship sailing into that area is doing so under its own risk, because Lloyd's of London or whoever is not going to insure a ship that purposefully violates a NOTAM. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does to me.
Right. So, and that's a key thing, because most commercial shipping, insurance is probably the single most expensive part of operating that ship. So they're not going to risk sending a ship in there where if it gets hit by a missile, hits a mine, whatever, and is damaged or sinks, if they don't have insurance, that's going to be a huge expense for the shipping line, and they're not going to want to do it.
Right.
So that's the key thing that's going on. And you can't really, when that Notice to Mariners has been issued, you can't really go and say, okay, Russia's shooting into the Notice to Mariners area. They're horrible. We should have a UN resolution to attack Russia. Right. That isn't going to happen.
Are you saying, just out of curiosity, is it that really there's no entity that has any interest in trying to protect ships that go into that area?
Oh, that's a good point.
Right. Probably not, because let's take it this way. You're talking about in the Black Sea. So it's a limited number of states that would have military ships in that area. basically Turkey, Bulgaria, Romania, Ukraine, and Russia.
Right.
So one of those nations would probably end up having to provide escort for merchant traffic that's traversing from, say, the Bosphorus all the way to Odessa.
Right.
Okay.
And Turkey was
None
doing
of
that
those-
for a bit, weren't they?
Yeah, they were doing it for a little while when there was that grain deal that was in effect. But when Russia dropped out of that grain deal, then Turkey basically withdrew its ships because they didn't want to expose their NATO slant naval ships to the risk of being damaged when they're not doing it as part of some at least partially agreed upon arrangement that the Russians wouldn't shoot into that area. So right now, that whole area is effectively a free fire zone. Could another nation decide to pick up those reins and do it? Yeah, but then you end up with the problem that where are they going to base their ships out of? Because they got to go into port to refuel, reprovision, etc. So you need to get Turkey or Bulgaria or Romania, presumably, if you're talking NATO country. One of those three has got to buy off on that and say, yeah, you can use our port. And then there's also the question, okay, so now you have NATO ships of some nation. What if one of them gets hit? Does that activate Article 5? You see what I'm getting at? It's an extremely intricate, complex tangle.
See,
so
can
it's
you
easier
tell?
for people to just say, screw it, go in there at your own risk. We don't care.
Can you tell he's an expert in logistics? It doesn't show at all, does it? It's just
sorry about that. I bored you all to tears. Now, please go back to sleep. And
no. That absolutely not.
Very interesting.
I guarantee you right now. Right now in the live chat, everybody is saying that is not boring at all. Trust me.
Well, I'd like to remind you, Commander, that as soon as you're done talking, Dick starts. So as long as you love to keep informing us about we're all ears.
As long as I temporarily have the floor, I want to go back and revisit something real quick.
Yeah, go.
Okay, we were talking about drones and all the new emerging technologies and everything. I think it helps people to understand what's going on if you think back to the use of airplanes in World War I. When World War I started, only a few countries had air forces, and they weren't really an air force, and none of them numbered more than about a dozen aircraft. And it was some guy who had, been a hobbyist who flew planes, and he'd take off in his plane and he'd go fly over the front lines and say, oh, yeah, they're over by that village there. And he didn't have a radio. He had to land and get out and tell somebody.
Damn near. He's only one step away from being in a Wright Flyer, right?
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then look at the planes 4 years later in 1918 that those countries were operating. You had strategic bombers. The Germans were flying bombers to bomb England.
Yeah.
From their own, territory. So strategic bombers were developed, dedicated ground support aircraft. Everything had evolved enormously. And in a very brief 4-year period, we're seeing exactly the same kind of thing happening right now with drones.
Yes.
Nobody really used drones in warfare prior to this. I know people will say, yeah, we did in Iraq and Afghanistan. I understand, but
nothing like this.
Right, not at this scale, and not this kind of everybody down to individual squad leaders having their own personal drones.
But it's also the evolution, how fast it's going.
Right, and that follows on to the more you start putting stuff of this nature into the combat zone, the more people are going to be trying to find ways to counter it, which means the more the people who are putting stuff in have to find a way to counter your countermeasures.
Right.
And it's an escalatory
spiral.
Struggle.
Yeah, it's the eternal struggle. It's the offensive, defensive. And Commander, to follow up on what is an excellent analogy, also at the beginning of the First World War, they would just take off and go fly around singularly, and then and they would kind of wave at one another. That's where kind of the gentlemanly concept of the the warrior pilot in First World War. And then they started flying with revolvers and shooting at one another. So they said,
Was
well, this doesn't work.
Very, very rude.
Very, very rude. Not proper. But also, in addition to that, I better have a wingman.
Yep.
So he can watch my back.
Yes.
And then you started flying. And so it's not just the technology.
Great catch, Phil.
It's
doctrine. It's everything.
It's doctrine. It's strategy. It's utilizing different drones for different tasks. Logistics.
Right.
Integrating this new thing into strategy. Yeah. It's awesome.
So I have a little story to tell, maybe with Sakai here, with regards to this drone situation. So
you've been knee deep in it, haven't you? Yeah.
Sakai Titans against Tyrants. Yeah, Tridents Against Tyrants asked especially to attend one of my drone classes because I'm teaching drone classes. What else can I say about it? Online. I'm teaching online drone classes for Ukrainians. I don't know if anyone else is doing it, but it's the first time I'm doing it. So Sakai especially asked to attend. And it just so happened that the drone class that I taught was just because where I was at the time, I happened to be inside a secret drone laboratory where they're building things, let's say, similar to what Greg was talking about earlier, and so I got to help with a small piece of that, and what really made me think, it really got me to thinking, this cat and mouse game rapid evolution of technology that's happening. I'm a wireless network engineer, okay? And this stuff is, maybe 2 years ago, I would consider myself an expert in this field. Now I'm having to go to school. I'm having to be re-educated and learn all of this stuff. But the thing is, this technology is not going to stay Ukraine, okay? What happens when... just recently we had a young kid in America who didn't like a certain president candidate for some reason and decided to use an AR-15. What happens when that kid has a drone and he's 20 kilometers away?
Yeah, man.
Okay.
Well, especially with what we know.
The stuff that Greg is developing.
Oh, sorry, James, but especially with what we know about drones now and how they can be used, right? This is off the wall crazy now, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I've been meaning
to the stuff that Greg is developing.
What, Slavi?
Yeah.
About Discord, how Russia blocked Discord. How much is that helping drone operations? I mean, how much is that helping Ukraine for Russians blocking Discord? Because that's how I understand it. They were using Discord for their drone operations.
Well,
I mean, it's cutting off their nose to spike their face. Normalna, as we say here.
But if they have a history of chatter that needs to be saved and all of a sudden they couldn't get to it if they didn't have backups and stuff and whatnot because they were just lazily relying on Discord, that actually could have been a proper kick to the nuts. Who knows, right?
It's Discord and something else, but in like kind of Ukrainian news, mainstream news, if you want to call it, they're all like, great job, Russia. We're going to give you a medal for blocking because you're helping us.
Yeah.
So,
do we have any intelligence on how much they actually do rely on Discord? Because I'm not sure. I know Ukrainians do use it. A lot of people use it, but does Russia really use it?
Greg?
Yeah, I'm looking at Greg too.
Yeah, I'm waiting for Greg to say something on this.
Sorry.
Speak, Brother Gregeth.
I just realized
I can't speak. Sorry, Sakai. I can't speak authoritatively on this, but I have never encountered one soldier using Discord on the front lines.
It's
on the Ukrainian side. No way.
I mean, are you sure you're referring?
I'd be.
Are you sure you're referring to Discord and not Telegram or some other?
No,
because
it's not
let me chime in with this because I was trying to talk earlier and realized that I was hard muted from my own headset.
Okay, cool.
Oh, we can hear you now. Yeah.
I have noticed, speaking with various different people, whether it's Telegram or it's WhatsApp or it's Discord or, I mean, just the number of different communications channels, some of them pretty secure if used correctly, and some of them horribly insecure. And the reasoning for why to use them and why to trust this or not trust that, it's kind of all over the board, I've noticed. So, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me at all if you had some units, you know, well, especially from the Russian side, if you know, some are really going off of low information from, you know, from officials, from officers above them, just using something like Discord. I've heard of soldiers who don't trust Signal at all, and I personally am not of that opinion. But yeah, it's all over the place.
So,
On
I
the
guess-
Ukrainian side,
Pretty deep.
nobody was using it. On the Russian side, they were using it extensively.
Oh, Signal or Discord?
Okay,
Discord.
so I just pulled up Ukrainska Pravda, so we'll set the record straight. Russia has blocked Discord, citing violations of country's legislation. This move has had a significant impact on military operations, particularly affecting drone coordination. Both Russian and Ukrainian forces have been using Discord for battlefield communication, including coordinating drone attacks. The ban has disrupted these operations, causing logistical challenges for troops relying on the platform for real-time communication and surveillance.
Right.
Discord is based out of California, if I recall. So that it's a U.S. company. So why on earth hasn't Discord?
Microsoft
I mean,
buy them
I
up?
know that they can use. Well, Microsoft was going to. Microsoft ended up not buying them, if I recall.
Somebody did though. Somebody did.
Yeah, well, and that's so. Why not block all IP addresses going to now? I mean, there are ways around it, but
Yeah.
You know, you can at least slow things. You can make things harder for the Russians using it.
Well, and I mean, the Russians have been so messed up. And now that the pastor's back, I'll watch my language. The Russians have been so messed up. There was that period of time where, and I don't know if it's still actively happening, where one of the first things they did when a new conscript would come to the front lines would be like, "Give me your phone," because they were the Ukrainians were like, "You guys are so sloppy with this stuff. We can track you all over the place." So they've done a little catch up with that as well. So
that was primarily, though, if I recall, to keep the soldiers from calling home and telling them the truth. I think was more. There was
that too. There was that too.
Yeah.
But it was also they could track the phones.
Yeah.
Because they were just so sloppy about it.
Yeah.
Here in a bit, I've got to go, but if it's okay, I'd like to go back to the topic that James had brought up a little bit earlier about drone manufacturing and that class that I happened to attend. I just wanted to ask everyone's thoughts on this, and you as well, James, since you've worked in some labs similar to what Greg was describing earlier, some of that kind of equipment. So with things like, for example, to stop jamming these tethered drones, which I guess the big thing with that would be if then the enemy tries to cut that actual find and cut that actual connection to the drone, the physical cable. But that's meant to combat like jamming, traditional signal jamming for wireless.
And there are obviously limitations,
Yeah. But what I'm wondering is, with the way that both sides are progressing with their technological innovations on this topic, are we going to see, or are there currently pushes for more EMP-based weaponry that would actually be disabling wireless or wired any kind of system whatsoever?
Yeah, so you're talking about an EMP. So the problem with EMP guns, which I've used and trained people on, is range and direction. And unfortunately, a simple way to harden a drone against that is a Faraday cage, and the Faraday cage can be just a simple metallic plastic bag, to be honest. So that is something that has been used. And then the anti-drone systems like directional, as you describe, like I say, it's a cat and mouse game. EMP, to say EMP, electromagnetic pulse, as in sending out just a raw burst of energy that's going to fry the electronics entirely. That's a very short range sort of a thing. And, you have timing is an issue there. And again, it's pretty simple to harden against something like that potentially. So the level of sophistication, and I know Greg probably knows as much or more about this than I do. Now, he's been out there. The level of sophistication is way beyond even that,
James, let me just say this. That's not my expertise, but my teammates, it's their expertise. And here's what
by proxy.
Here's what I can tell you 100%. Whatever you guys read about on whichever sources you prefer to read about the war in Ukraine, whatever social media platforms, being here today on the Shills, and you've got some really knowledgeable people talking who have experience, wherever your information is coming from, you're a year behind.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay?
Yep.
Anything we talk about right now is a year behind. And it needs to be that way. My guy.
Damn right.
My guy, his name is Roma. I can give his first name, who is our drone specialist. And he is unbelievable. And when I'm with him and he's doing stuff, he speaks great English, and he'll say, Greg, this is nothing. This is nothing. What we're already doing that the world hasn't seen yet and hasn't been leaked.
Right.
And it's not only our side, it's the Russian side as well. We're already in 2026, 2027, 2028 with technology that the world will begin to hear about, but we'll have already been using it. So there are things we're doing right now that nobody knows.
Right.
And so the reality is the technology is even beyond what we're seeing. So that's the point I'm trying to accentuate.
Yeah.
Roma out east right now, Greg? Or is he? I don't need specifics. Is he anywhere near the capital?
He's in the capital quite often.
I'd love to have him on if I can get him before I go, if he'd be willing.
He doesn't live there, but he goes back and forth there for military intelligence offices. Yes,
for reasons.
So
I'm hearing. I'm telling you,
if not before you leave, Roma, I'm sure.
Or James, are you in the capital?
No, I'm.
You're out east somewhere.
If you look on the map of Ukraine, I'm like right. Where it says Ukraine on the map, that's where I live. Exactly there.
James, that's brilliant. So if you guys look on a map and you see this atlas and you see Ukraine, James is in there somewhere where it says Ukraine.
I'm actually in the word Ukraine.
I know exactly where you're at, brother, but I won't say it.
He's near the bottom of the R.
Scale down and
Greg, if you could get a word to Roma, if he's going to be in town anytime this week, I'm not leaving until the end of the week. I know this is embarrassingly shameless of me to do this.
He's my buddy.
I have no shame when it comes to Ukraine. So
the issue is,
I can get people on.
The issue is on security protocol because he's way up there.
Okay. Yep. Probably not going to happen.
And the problem is,
happen when I get back.
Maybe, and that's not. We couldn't. He's been on camera with me. But as far as deep diving,
he's going to have to get authorization. He'd have
to have authorization.
Let me.
We'll do it when I get back. We'll do it when I get back.
One second, everybody. Hold on. Let me get a couple of super chat shout outs in here because I got some pretty good news here. So, Paul Gilbert, you all know him as the guitar player from Mr. Big and whatnot. Amazing guitar player. Yeah. $25 direct donation to hashtag Pierogi Fund. I love it. That is now sold. And I forgot to inform you on why that was sold and where it come from, but we're getting there. So we also had Kobe Jack in the chat. with a $50 direct shout into hashtag Pierogi Fund. Then if I switch over to Stream Elements, Bobby, a little while back in the show, dropped a $50 direct tip for the Pierogies Fund for drones, yummy food. And that's where I came up with hashtag Pierogi Fund. So that's what we're going to call it when we're throwing it to my neighbors. And they're like, you know, I think she's probably like 68, he's 72, and they're just the greatest
If they're Ukrainian,
couple.
it's probably Varenki, not Pierogi.
It is.
Okay,
Thank you.
yeah.
Oh, guys, I do really got to go because I am running very late for something I needed to go to like 15 minutes ago. But Phil, I may have one or two Ukrainian journalism and tech contacts you might want to speak with if you're looking for people to talk to on the show. So feel free to message me. And we can talk about it.
I unfortunately had some people cancel last minute, 11th hour, so I've only got about 4 or 5 more days here. If I could get somebody in studio, that'd be great. Dick's got my contacts. Go right ahead. You're authorized. Dick, you're authorized. I'm fine with you giving it.
Go. I'll send it over. Okay, Sakai, take it easy, dude. I'll share it over, man. Take it easy.
Have a good one, man.
See you guys later. Bye.
You know what? I'm gonna hop off as well at this, even though Nick's not there. Greg, I've got your message.
We're good to go.
We're good to go. We're good to go, Slavi.
Oh, yeah.
When I'm in LA, we'll try and link up. We might even, if you're okay, maybe we'll sit down and chat for about an hour. I'll put you could talk about the Ukrainian diaspora in the United States.
Cool.
Cool with that?
Sure.
We'd love to have you on the show. Everybody else, always a pleasure. Commander, you're the best. I hope you're feeling better. Somebody's going to have to say to Nick that I'm not ignoring him. I'm just, as I say, I'm getting my you know what together as I'm on my way out the door.
Trust me, I'll think of something to say.
Oh, I'm sure you'll be charming. Watch tomorrow's episode because we've got your fellow Canuck. Got your senator, and he was really good. He really talked about like what Ukrainians have meant to Canada. Cool. And how they help build Canada. Wouldn't be Canada without Ukrainians.
Damn right.
Check it all out. Greg will be in touch. Somebody tell Nick that I'll respond as well. I haven't been ignoring him. I've just been lazy.
That's not exactly what I'm going to say, but yeah. Okay.
I'm sure you won't. Take care, everyone.
See you, Phil.
Bye, guys.
Dick, let me answer this question real quickly. White Fishy 1, it is a different Roma than the one Starsky interviewed.
Yeah.
But most Romas are very smart.
Yeah. It does seem to work that way, doesn't it? Yeah.
It does.
I'm checking the time here. I got about 15, 20 minutes tops before we're done. So anybody got something they wanted to address before we get into like wrap up situation and stuff? Rammstein
was canceled. Unfortunately, I thought it was postponed, but I guess now it's canceled. Zelensky has been making rounds pretty around UK, Italy, France, not in that order, but and Croatia, and he even met the Pope. But hopefully he gains a lot more support for the victory plan for Ukraine.
Yeah. Oh, wait a minute.
No, I think the thing with Rammstein.
Yeah. One sec, James. Just remember where you are. I'll come right back to you. I didn't finish my whole super chat shout out and thing and whatnot. There was another tip from RC William in the chat. A $20 direct tip through Stream Elements, which means very low fees. So there's more money to use. Thank you for that. Stick it to Pootler. So that's obviously part of hashtag Pierogi Fund. And that brings hashtag Pierogi Fund to $305. Now, there's going to be a little bit of loss in fees, so it's probably like $295, but it's just PayPal fees because it's direct through Stream Elements, right? Which is way better than YouTube taking 30% and everything. And so that puts us within like 22, 23 bucks from closing out the hashtag Pierogi Fund. And after the show, I'll take my son and we'll go over and I'll do a little bleep on their thing and boom, away we go. So awesome, everybody. Thank you so much. That's really cool.
Can we do vareniki next time though? Not pierogies.
Oh,
Vareniki.
yeah. Okay, yeah. Somebody put that in the live chat so everybody can copy and paste and get the spelling right and stuff. Yeah, you're right. You know, I do that just because it's a thing with my son and all, and they have to be pierogies, otherwise I get in shit. So
You can't change the name, even if it's the same thing. Okay.
yeah. It's one of those things, you know.
But it's one of those things as well. Like if you have like a toasted sandwich, you have to cut it in triangles. You can't cut it in squares because it tastes different.
Yeah.
Like that kind of
No,
thing.
it does. That's true.
Yeah. Whitefishy1 in the chat says, that's fantastic, Dawson. Also, cabbage rolls and beet rolls. When we go over to get the whole plate of food today, we'll be coming home with cabbage rolls as well that are going in that oven. Oh, yeah.
Nice.
They make some of the most drool-worthy food over there, right? And then you also got the Portuguese couple that contribute to the bakery and the deli and all the pre-made foods and stuff. And together, it's just they have a sourdough culture that's been going as long as I've lived in this town, which has been as long as my son's alive. He's 17. I've lived here even longer. And it's just the most humble. Like you get like some good 5-year-old cheddar, and you get their sourdough bread and sit down with their farm fresh butter and whatnot. That's a meal. That's all you need. That's it.
Stop talking about food. I haven't had lunch yet.
I haven't had dinner yet, so I'm with Commander on this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually want to talk about something. Halia, as you guys know, she was in the East last weekend, and I'm busy editing an interview she had with one of the volunteers. He's in the military, but he also prepares all the cars that go to the East and everything. And she asked him some questions, and he gave like very normal answers. But Halina is a psychologist, so she was like, so she asked the question, he gave a standard answer, and you can see Halina's psychologist brain was like, no, this isn't good content, okay? So she asked him, okay, but I want to ask you on an emotional level, what has been the most difficult thing during your time helping soldiers to get new cars for the front? And he took some time and he said the most difficult situation is when the car is ready, but there's no one left to take it.
Good answer.
Wow.
And it's
That sucks.
It's a constant thing. I mean, at the moment we just got confirmation from the shop that they have the stock and everything, but we need to buy repeater drones.
Right.
That is, you're looking at $4,887.57 per drone. Per drone. These guys need 5 per drone, and they're 10 batteries. It is crazy. And you know, it's that constant thing where it's kind of getting to this point where, like, when I see guys who died in the 67, I'm like, crap, was there something that could have been, like, if we had more aid, could this have been prevented, you know? And the sad reality is, and Greg has spoken about this before on his streams, is there are not enough soldiers. And we're trying to make up for it with equipment. But it's difficult. And yeah,
That was always going to be one of the key elements of this war, is that Russia basically has 3 times the population. They know that they can keep throwing people into the meat grinder, and even if they're getting a 2-to-1, loss ratio, they're still coming out ahead in the long run.
Yep.
And that's basically what all these stupid, losing thousands of people a day to gain a couple meters, those assaults that's what it's all about. It's just inflicting casualties.
And they don't care,
Yep.
Yeah.
Long as it ain't some oligarch's kid, nobody gives a damn.
Exactly.
I mean, at this point, I saw a tweet where someone was like, at this point, Russia, at this point, Western governments care more about Russian lives than the Russian government.
Seriously.
Very, very true.
You know,
Yeah, interesting.
and Helena was recently interviewed. The interview came out this week, but she was interviewed, and she was asked, like, how do you kind of, what would be like a good way? How does this get resolved, and kind of what justice needs to be served? And she said, justice needs to be served, but I don't know what it will look like, because she said she cannot see Ukrainians doing to Russia what Russia is doing to Ukraine, and that was her main thing. Because the question was like, how are Russians and Ukrainians different? And she said, well, for one, justice needs to be served, but I don't know how that will work.
Well, how it works is Russia has to be made to pay through the nose for the rebuild of Ukraine, to the point of damn near collapsing their system.
Exactly.
Yeah. And she was making the point of saying, like, she cannot see Ukrainians do to other people what Russians are doing.
The trouble with what Dick just said is that sets up a Versailles Treaty, Weimar Republic, and another monster arising.
Well, not necessarily. It could be more like Nazi Germany or thereafter, you know, where the public had to be completely just re-educated. You know?
Yeah, but they didn't impose war reparations that were so egregious that it collapsed the emerging new Germany.
Right.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
You have to find that middle ground.
They don't have the economy to do that with anyway. I mean, what sanctions are you going to impose on Russia that isn't going to do what? I mean, if you sanction, a pencil in Russia at this point, it's already broken the economy.
Whack-a-mole. The sanctions are like whack-a-mole. Every time, they sanction one thing and they find a way around it, and we have to sanction something else.
Yep.
The thing is that with regards to reparations also is there's not going to be a Russia. There's going to be a Moscovia, with like Moscow and St. Petersburg, and then a bunch of new independent countries.
That's what has to happen. It has to get busted up, right?
Decolonize Russia.
Greg looks very doubtful of this.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
I'm not doubtful. I'm patient. I stick to my guns. I stick to my guns completely. And I am a Peter Pavel fan from the Czech Republic, the president, also the former general of NATO, who has political experience as a president of a sovereign nation in Europe. And he has field experience as a general. The man's smart. He stated 20 months ago, the fall of 2024, we will see where the world is going. Not only in regard to the war in Ukraine, it will determine a lot how we move into 2025. We are on October the 12th, 2024. Yep. And as far as projection for what we would like, what we think would be best, I think right now what we have to pay attention to is what is happening in the world right now outside of Ukraine. It was Slavi just saying Rammstein was canceled. We know that, yes, Milton went through Florida, Biden and the administration dealing with the fallout from that. Completely understandable. At the same time, Zelensky rolling around through Europe, doing a really good job. He even met with the Pope, which is great. But the truth is, we're not going to know anything until the American election is over and the following couple of months trickle out. So anything else is conjecture.
What are we at now, Greg? 3-week countdown. It's like 20 days now, is it?
I don't know the exact. We're about 3 weeks, and I would definitely say right now it's I don't know, Commander McMillan.
We'll be doing
Nick. Okay, so I got. I know Slavi. You're an American immigrant and an American now. So I don't want to disrespect you, but I'm going now back decades and decades with these two old men. But
thank you for reminding me.
James, I know you're an American in Ukraine. Yana's in South Africa. Dick's in Canada. So let me look straight at Commander and Nick. As I perceive it right now, and I know we are in different regions of the country. it's looking like a toss-up for me. It's looking like a toss-up.
Greg, I was just saying yesterday on the show, depending on the news source and how they lean left or right, the polls always favor one or the other.
Of course.
There's no,
Of course.
and as we've learned over the last few political elections, modern polls don't mean much because they never seem to be overly like. There's a lot of people that leave it to the last minute and then just draw on their heritage and do that thing, and it's we have no idea yet, do we?
Well, the other thing is 3 weeks is an eternity. With the way things are unfolding in our world, 3 weeks may as well be.
I want to say before we move on here, on election day, the Shills will be doing a sort of somewhat marathon stream of watching the results come in and so on and whatnot.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
You're going to make us compete with you. Really?
Well,
you don't know any other news channels that maybe would be covering that as well.
Yeah, but
everybody is.
Yeah, but yours will be all like, official news stuff and whatnot. And ours will be just people jerking off and watching the results come in, right? So I don't mean it like that.
I call dibs on Commander. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm calling dibs on Commander.
No, Commander's going to flip back and forth every so often, right? I'll tell you this, if he was still on pain pills, he would have joined ours first for sure. But admittedly.
I'll be watching. I'll be watching, and
you're coming in for a bit, Greg? For sure.
Greg, which show will you be watching?
We're going to use an animated avatar to make Greg.
I think we deserve an answer to this question.
Well, Nick, to be quite honest, I have a split screen. And I will be watching equally in time news, and I will be watching the Shills. But what I will do is I will watch both of you guys with the volume off. So neither one of you will get volume preference because I will be listening to the sounds of the environment around me as people begin to lose their mind.
Ours will be offensive to your family, so you probably should turn it down. But
I actually am voting Monday.
Okay.
Because I will be out of the state.
I wish I could vote.
So I pre-vote. Yeah.
I wish I could vote. Well,
I vote whenever the state sends me my ballot.
I follow the policy of vote early and vote often. So
oh yeah, you're doing what's her name's idea of voting 10 times because why not? Elon's
an original idea.
Yeah.
But in all seriousness, to bring it back
for the
to
Kennedy of your choice, but both.
Yeah. The bottom line is, I'm sitting here talking to soldiers right now.
Yeah.
Right now. And to try and predict how things are going to look until we see some things wash out geopolitically, not only the United States, but even in other nations right now in Europe. And that is what Peter Pavel said. It was basically prophetic, to be quite honest. We will see the fall of 2024 led, of course, by the American election. And at that point in time, he couldn't have known who would be the candidates. He could have projected, of course, that Donald Trump would try to be the candidate again. And now he is after the primary period. But I doubt very seriously he would have thought that Kamala Harris would be the candidate. He would have thought Biden would be running again. So we're already seeing some changes in ebb and flow. So my best advice is support Ukraine, stand for what is right, vote, contact your governments, whether you're an American, Canadian, or European, anywhere, it doesn't matter. Communicate, put your signs out, wear your shirts. I was in my stream this week, or one of my videos I posted, somebody posted a message in the chat. or a comment after the video. It was a standalone video, not a live or premiere. And they basically said, okay, I was down in Pittsburgh today and I met Greg and he was wearing a Support Ukraine t-shirt. I went up to him. He won't remember who it was. And, you know, we were talking about it a little bit. So I went home, looked up his YouTube channel and found out I really like his stuff. And I'm just here to tell you he's the real deal. And it was refreshing for me. Of course, we get enough hate. It's kind of nice every once in a while to get some like, but the truth being, that's what we have to do right now. We can only do our part. None of us are going to be on lead news tonight, whether it's on any media platform, Fox, CNN, MSNBC, or anywhere in between. None of us are, but we can do what we can do. And if especially right now, Americans will do what they can do to share truth, to keep the issues at hand and at the focus. I'm believing that when people go into the voting booths, they're going to look at that. And I personally believe that a lot of decisions will be made right at that second. My personal opinion. They're going to look at it. They're going to look on that computer screen and they're going to go,
God, that's terrifying.
I know I need to vote the way my family has voted, but this world's really messed up. I need to vote this way.
I hope so.
And
I'm just
it's scary. It's scary. They are so different. It's scary that you're right, that there's going to be a huge percentage of people who have not made up their minds and won't make up their minds until they're actually in that booth. And it's just like, I don't know how that's possible. It's not like you could have any more different candidates.
Because you have, Nick, you know this, I know you're from the Northeast, but you have a lot of people that are generational voters. And here in Western Ukraine, your generational voters are blue. And they are blue not due basically to politics, but more based on this is what my father did, my grandfather did, and my great-grandfather did, because we are in the geographical location, which is now called the Rust Belt, and now changing to become more high-tech. Pittsburgh has went from being a rust belt of abandoned steel mills to one of the most high-tech cities in the country. And things are transitioning and changing. So people will go in, and that could be from other places where it has been a traditional, my family's voted red for generations. They're going to walk into that booth and they'll go, okay, I don't like what I'm seeing right now. Or I like what I'm seeing and I want more of it. Even though daddy didn't vote this way, I'm going to vote this way. And a lot of that is transitioning in the world right now, in the United States right now, especially in states. It's why you're seeing, and I don't want to go political on this right now, but let's get very clear. It's why right now Trump is campaigning predominantly in blue-held states and not in swing states. So you have to look behind the scene. He's counting on the swing states to lean his way. He's going after the blue states. Kamala Harris is doing similar things, as they both should. She's down on the border. She's trying to be more involved in the hurricane efforts. You're seeing all these things that we've never seen before. We've never seen things like this before, and it's going to be interesting. That's why I do believe that a lot of people are going to look at that ballot and they're going to go, Mama told me to vote this way, but I've got to go the other way.
Yeah, I'm hoping, man. I'm still hoping.
That's what I wanted to say about Trump Shella. That's why he's doing it here in California. But frankly, even though it is a blue state, there's a lot of Republicans in California. So he's riling them up, actually, even if he does lose.
Yeah, you don't know.
We lost audio.
Oh,
yeah, I grew up in California. I know exactly what you're talking about, Slavi.
Where'd you grow up, James?
James, where'd you grow up?
Sacramento.
You dog. Bro, can you hear me?
He's got a latency, but yeah.
Okay. Nick can be my interpreter. I lived in Sacktown, bro. I lived in Folsom for years and years and years.
I lived in Sacramento, bro. I lived in Folsom for years and years and years.
Oh, shit. Yeah.
Я жил в Sacramento. Много лет назад.
Wow.
Wow. That's
Правильно.
Спасибо большое.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Wow.
That's funny. I'm looking at the time here. We can't be much longer. I do have to get to parenting and a few other things today. It's one of those days. So let's do a little final thoughts and wrap up thing. I'm just going to go around the world. And today I'll start with Commander McMillan. What do you think?
Well, Greg basically stole my usual message about communicate with your elected officials. So I got nothing to say other than interesting show.
We'll have to have him taken care of for that, won't we?
Yeah. Make him an offer he can't refuse.
Let's go to Slavy next. What do you think?
I wanted to kind of say the same thing, but go more in depth. Call your House of Representatives and your senators and ask them to support the HR 9501. It's if you really want to advocate for Ukraine, then please do so. It's a Stand With Ukraine Act, and it's a key to ensuring a long-lasting security for Ukraine for 10 years. So it's very, very important. And I'll repeat it again. It's HR 9501. So please, if you are in the United States, call your representatives, call your senators, support Stand With Ukraine Act.
Good shout. Hiram Slava. Good shout. Yana from the freshly, newly monetized Project Constantine channel.
Yes. Hi, everyone. As always, thanks for having me on. And I don't know, Chad probably saw my draw dropped earlier because I was looking at our donations. And on Wednesday, we got a massive donation from someone for £3,800. So that was that reaction because I haven't been checking my emails. Halia wasn't checking either. So she just sent me the screenshot and I was like, what?
Where did it come from?
Huh?
Where did it come from?
Someone called
Luann.
Yes.
Yeah, that's us. We gave 5,000 USD this week.
Oh, thank you. I didn't know it was you.
That's my bookkeeper.
Oh my word! Thank you.
I told you a $5,000 donation was coming, Chica.
Helena was messaging me. She's like, "Do you know this person?" I'm like, "No." I was checking chat. Like, no
That's
way.
our office. That's our administrator that does all the money.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah.
Wow. Thanks.
You're very welcome.
Thank you so
I
much.
calculated really quick that 3,800 pounds would be about 5,000 US. So yeah, I told you we had some coming in more. We're going to finish this PK project.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Good work, man. Good work. Awesome. That was crazy funny how it all came together right here with the people involved.
Luann.
Oh my word. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Yeah,
No, thank you to everybody because it's people donating. So thank you and I know there are donators that are in the Shills right now.
Yep,
so,
absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you. We get it there.
Yeah. Very cool.
Duncan is like, we pay real money in America,
Anybody ever wonder if the Russians are, doing this kind of fundraising on YouTube or whatever, and how much they get out of it?
They can't do YouTube anymore, but
they do raise funds, Commander. They do raise funds. They do have drone fundraisers. They do have yes, sir. I can confirm that 100%. Not on YouTube.
Somebody fundraises 1,000 rubles and gets a stick of gum.
Pretty much. They use a lot of their own platforms like Contact.ru and others, but they do raise funds for their soldiers. If you want the truth, I'll give you the truth.
Hey,
They do.
Makes sense. Let's turn to James. What do you think, buddy? Well, this will take 3, 2, 1.
First of all,
I shouldn't have done that shit.
Thanks, Dick. That was very productive. You're up, James.
So I want to direct everybody to my website. Right. Yeah. So whyukraine.com. Yeah. So we can go there, and if you check it out, basically there's a new unit not a new unit, a unit that is being reformulated within the International Legion. And they're trying to reformulate how they do training, how they do recruitment, kind of everything. And they are hoping that it can become kind of a model for improvement within the International Legion, which has been really necessary for throughout this whole war, to be honest. Unfortunately, the reason that they have to do it is because the unit was basically eliminated effectively. And they have just a small squadron's worth of guys left, but maybe the silver lining is they kind of have been given free reign anyway. So on my website on whyukraine.com, I asked them, what do you guys need? They said, we need whiteboard, we need dry erase markers, we need some basic drone training drones, and eventually we're going to put other stuff up there, like they need airsoft equipment, airsoft grenades, that sort of thing. So that's what I've got up on there, and it seems like really simple stuff. And actually, but a couple of people already bought like a whiteboard, and if you only have like $3, a pack of dry erase markers is really, really helpful. And it sounds crazy that this is not provided, but the International Legion doesn't get anything from except for the guns, the old AKs or maybe M4s if they're lucky. So, and everything else is like after every other unit in the Ukrainian army has gotten everything they need, then maybe the International Legion will get something, So anyway, so that's what I'm doing right now. And I guess I think I can say this. I will be in the drone force by the end of the month.
Oh,
that's
cool.
What they tell me.
Awesome. Very cool indeed.
So
awesome.
I go the basic training. Yeah. So I'll go the basic training.
Don't get injured this time, hey?
Yeah, by the end of the month, essentially.
Cool. Well, all the best.
That's my goal. That's my goal. Well, yeah, let's hope.
Yeah. We're rooting for you. Let's hope it works out. And
just two other things I want to just. Yeah, I just want to say, Slavy, I have a plate of Galupsi waiting for me as soon as we're done here, just to make you jealous. And the other thing I want to show off really quickly, this habanero chili pepper from my garden. I just wanted to show it. I have 15 of these. Okay.
Are you stocked up on sour cream?
Yeah.
That's the end of my spiel.
Yeah, he's gonna need to stock up on sour cream. Yeah.
I got like 3 bottles of Smetanka.
Yeah, you're gonna need it for sure. Awesome.
Yep, for sure.
Awesome. Okay, so we're gonna go to Nick, and then we'll go to Greg after. So Nick, you're up.
All right. So my show is In Time. We are a news channel, news and education. So we try to educate people about social media and how they engage in social media. We also do breaking news, and we're very proud of our breaking news. As most people who've seen the channel before know, that we covered Prigozhin. We had that about 8 hours ahead of anybody else, including Reuters, AP. We were just covering the whole thing, so we enjoy that. We also do interviews, and we decided that there was somebody who is a little bit of from what I can tell, a lunatic who has just decided that he is going to dedicate his life to helping Ukraine, and this is not a common thing. The guy is sitting right over here, and nobody has really, that I'm aware of, sat down and asked him how he got to where he is, what he is that he's doing. And so we are having Greg on Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern. You'd think as the host, I'd get that. We'll hope that that's why we say it's in time, not on time. So hopefully we'll get it this Tuesday. We're going to have Greg on. We're looking forward to it. I think it's going to be, we're actually shooting for 90 minutes. We're going to make it a little bit longer because I think he's an interesting guy. Don't tell him I said that.
You're the only one that ever did.
And we're going to have him on. It's going to be great. So I hope you guys will join us for that. And we look forward to having Greg on coming this Tuesday.
Cool. Good news indeed. We'll get the link shared out in our Discord so everybody can make sure to be a part of it, because that'll be cool. And we'll turn to the interviewee himself to give us some words of wisdom.
Well, thank you, Dick. As always, first and foremost, thank you to everybody that's been here for the last 2 hours. That shows your care. It shows community. It shows support. And as everyone has stated, do what you can do. You can't do what somebody else can do. Do what you can do. Everybody do something kind for somebody today. Everybody try to make a difference and bring more awareness to Ukraine and the war that is raging brutally. Yes. Tomorrow I will be doing a deep dive on the 5 key points on the front lines. I'll have that coming out as a video. Gertis and I may actually do it together because he's got some questions about certain places and I answer them and all that jazz. So tomorrow will be
just deep diving. It's called Canada and it's not scary.
We'll be doing a deep dive on those frontline positions because there's some news unfolding right now. So instead of just doing it now, I'd be better off to wait 12 hours so it's much more accurate. So that'll be coming. And as Nick said, Tuesday night, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, going to be on with Nick and In Time. Looking very much forward to that. And then also I'm going to have Nick on here. You heard Phil Ittner talking earlier. We're working on some stuff for some partnership videos coming up. I'm also going to be getting on Andrew Kimmel, who's the producer of Bachelor, Bachelorette, Shark Tank, executive producer, and good buddy of mine. I ran him around the front lines and bringing him on because I'm trying to continually communicate to people. It's one thing to look at a picture. It's one thing to look at a video. There's another thing to stand there and you smell it and you see it. And he's very articulate, of course. And I'm going to get him on to just try to pick his brain a little bit to explain and help people understand even more as he described, so that it will continue to build the coalition of those that are supporting this genocide that's unfolding in Ukraine. So that's what we're at and that's what we're doing. As always, thank you to Dick for hosting. Thanks to all the guys on the panel. And most importantly, and I'm learning this every day as our channel continues to grow, thank you to the moderators, because when you have really good moderators, it frees you to focus on thinking, and content and trying to come up with a proper answer so you don't stick your foot in your mouth. And a lot of, Dick, I know you're a self-producer as I do. I've got all these buttons, Dick. I'm assuming you self-produce.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of buttons being pushed and a lot of things going on. And when you have great moderators, which we all do,
I've got so much to do. Without the team, I would be literally just on the side of the road, left for dead. Right.
I tell them it's a big difference when, when I started, when Jane and I were rolling from day one and my wife and mother and children were watching. And other than that, there was nobody. But then we grew and now we're continuing to grow. And without moderation, it'd be a sinking, but it'd be the Titanic. I want to give the big shout out today on October the 12th. Thank you to the moderators. You guys are awesome.
Hold on a second, because Dick does have actually a really good team behind him. I know a lot of them, and he still puts his foot in his mouth all the time. So how does that work?
It's because he's putting too much weed in his mouth.
Well, there's been a number of studies between weed in mouth and foot in mouth.
He may pull that vape up there and try to fool everybody with the vape, but he may have that thing laced up a little bit. Let's just be quite honest.
If we're going to be quite honest, a lot of it's CBD for fibromyalgia, but
just
to be quite honest, not all. Yeah.
I told you.
Yeah. I definitely have more than one jar to pick from, shall we say.
And I want to give one more shout out because I know we all have got to go. But James, I just want to thank you, man, because you're there.
Yeah. And
kudos to you. I just went to your website, whyukraine.com, and I encourage people to go to whyukraine.com. Yeah. I'm just going to talk about him as if he's not here.
It's okay, he can't hear you in any case.
Okay. The dude's been faithful.
Yeah.
Okay. And if he can't hear me, maybe that's even better. The dude's been faithful. And a lot of times it's been a struggle for him to get traction, and we've come alongside and helped him. We've made contacts for him. He's delivered equipment to the front line to some of our guys, and the dude is faithful in support of Ukraine. So, James,
kudos his ass off, man.
Yes.
Он сказал, спасибо большое.
Again, I couldn't have said it better because I couldn't. So let me get a couple of last shout outs in here because it has happened. So let me do my thing. We got Spider Fate with a direct $10 shout through that Ko-Fi place. And we've got YOLO in the chat with a $35 direct shout out in through the hashtag. What is it? Varyenki? How do I say that again, Slavi?
Varyeniki.
One more time?
Varyeniki.
Varyeniki.
Close enough, Dick. Just don't bother trying anymore. Just you've said it. We all understand.
Yeah, I'm going to resort.
Like I told you guys, that vape's got a little boost on it.
I'm not good at this. I'm just not.
No, you did good, brother.
You got to realize.
We hold on. We got Danny Carver with a $20 direct tip through Stream Elements as well, and that I can say properly. And that put us to 374 through the hashtag Not Pierogi Fund. See.
Smart.
And that means that as soon as we're done and the credits roll and everything, my son and I will go over to go and get some food, and I can just transfer it right over to them, and that fundraiser is closed.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I will say this. I do have to say this. When Slavi was breaking Vareniki down for you, it honestly sounded like she is a professional linguistic teacher on Duolingo. It was perfection.
And I still turned it into not quite.
Dick, thank you for all you do, bro. Appreciate you, man. Big time.
Thank you.
Yeah. I do try. It's just, success. It's not always your friend.
Well, let's be fair. So I use vMix on my show. I know Greg uses it too. VMix
Can't win them all, but good try.
But and I remember when Dick said that he was going to try. He was like, "I'm thinking of switching to vMix," and he had been learning it for. I think by the time he asked me some questions, he'd been learning it for maybe 6 weeks or something. I said, "I got some questions for you." I was like, "I don't doubt it." So he brings me in, and he's already memorized shit that took me 2 years. 2 years. To fucking get, and the stuff that he's getting, I'm just like, I just figured out how to do that like last week. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm supposed to be the expert, so it's like, yeah, it's a little deceptive. Yeah, Dick barely speaks English, but having said that, it's like when it comes to like the technical shit, don't fuck with him because I'm just like, holy shit.
I speak nerd better than English.
I'm just like, not for me. I was like,
yeah.
I can't say that. I put 2 years of my life into this thing, but okay.
Yeah. He's not wrong. It was actually really funny. I also did it with Ecamm and a few other softwares. Literally within the 30-day trial, I can totally suss it out, no problem. But anyway, thanks for the support, everybody, because we're gonna go right over.
They're rising up. Dick, you are the wind beneath our wings, brother.
The wind beneath our wings.
I've taught a few people, That wouldn't be shy, and we've equipped a few people in the whole bit.
have.
So
Thank you, brother.
yeah, I like that part of this, the whole thing.
Well,
It's all-
I remember delivering a microphone to Rick the Ukrainian for you way early in our relationship, and that's Dick Dawson wanting to help people technically because it's like mods. We're back to that same conversation. We all got to go, but
yeah, exactly.
The better you make it, the better you can be to communicate to people. So thank you all.
Exactly. And that's the goal. And the goal is communicating to you all the message that most important, absolutely. Yeah, sure. We're in the run up to the election, but why do most of us care? Because we want the election to work out in Ukraine's favor. And as such, make sure you're registered. Make sure you vote. Her name is Kamala Harris. That's who you're voting for. And the thing you need to do is make sure that you always keep within your friend circle, your family circle, and whatnot, the issue of Ukraine's freedom and sovereignty from Russian tyranny in the conversation, because it's all about Slava Ukraine.
Yep.
Very well said. Thank you, Dick.
Slava.
Thanks for the support, the shout outs, all the donations and stuff, because you help us make it happen. We can't do it without you, everybody. Thank you so much. Big shout out to our team here. Where do I even have the list? I have a list somewhere. Here we go. We got Annette on the Shills account. She runs the teams in the background. We got PJ CNET, who's not here today. He runs our research team. We got Shayna Caldwell, Chris Lundy, Liam Wakefield, Janine Terblanche, Skits Crasher, and Super Chat Matt. So thanks, everybody. We got a PubChat hangout tomorrow, and we might even slip a 42 show in, because why the hell not? My son's not going to be here. We'll see what's going on, but always fueled by good intentions and shits and giggles. We're here for you. Take care, everybody.
And laced vapes.
Доброй ночи. До побачення.
Greg. That was funny.
It's over. Go home. Go.